Oh, you've just seen some of the things from some black and white stills. That's from your Jordache line, right?
Spring line, right.
Spring line. Well, it's the appropriate time for it
That's
right now. Few new guests. Over here on the end, we have Marcia Goldenberg. She is owner of MMG, Marcia's Kids. That's an agency for children ages 4 to 21. She represents them in commercials, television, theater, and modeling. Give me a quick reaction to what we've talked about so far from the standpoint of the effect of kids in sort of quasi or sexy commercials on society.
I have to agree with the gentleman. I don't like the fact that he's non-union, but I have to agree with the fact that he's...
Wait a second, Stan. You're non-union?
Just go
Hey,
through
Stan. Off the set.
We're not here to talk about unionism, are we?
I'm totally kidding.
I'll walk off the set.
No.
But I do agree that it does start at the home. It definitely does. I think that parent... And I work with a lot of the parents out here in the audience. Most of the kids are very well adjusted. I will have to, this doesn't include any of the parents out there, but there are some parents that do live...
the parents are not well adjusted?
That's true. That they live vicariously through their children, but most of them don't. Most of them let their kids do this because they enjoy it, they want to do it, and they back them to the hilt.
All right. We have two... Exhibit A, huh? Okay, two models with us right now. Tracy Griefnow, is that how you pronounce your last name?
Yes.
Yes? Tracy is 11 years old and a relative newcomer, actually, to the business of modeling. In a short time you've been in New York, you've done pretty well, is that correct?
Yes.
What do you like about what you do?
I think it's a lot of fun, and I'm not doing it for money or anything like that. I'm doing it as if I'm playing. When they're saying they have to go outside, modeling and stuff is my playing time. I don't think it's very fun going out in the street playing ball, almost getting hit by a car or something. But modeling and doing commercials is my playing time.
You have fun doing it. Just, I have fun doing this, so I can identify with what you're saying. When I was 11 years old, I was in dramatics club and I was doing plays and stuff like that. And so I can understand that it is fun. Now, what about well, let me introduce the other young girl with us. Her name is Julie Hyman. She's also 11 years old and already a seasoned commercial model. What are some of the things you've done so far, Julie?
Well, I've done Underoos, Macy's and Bamberger's, Mel and J Yogurt, GE, Doritos, Duncan Hines.
A lot of different things. Now,
yeah.
You two were on the back row there listening to this discussion that we had so far. The general question being whether or not young kids, such as yourself, young girls and young guys, in commercials for certain products were being exploited in such a way that what they were doing was sort of too sexy for kids. What's your opinion on that? Do you see stuff that you think is wrong?
Well, it's one thing like going nude, but then if you're not going, like, wearing jeans, I mean, like, almost every kid needs to wear a pair of jeans. I don't think kids are going to always wear dresses, and even dresses they advertise. I think that wearing all kinds of outfits is what kids do wear. I mean, everybody wears clothes, so advertising it
Everyone
isn't
on
wrong.
this show has always worn clothes. We have yet to have one nude show yet. You're right about that. Think of the ratings, though, if we could possibly pull that one off. Sam, now look, I'm not trying to put you in the mean old man category here, but these young girls seem to be intelligent, articulate, they enjoy what they do. Nevertheless, you don't really want them to be doing this, so tell them why.
Let me explain. The world of modeling to succeed, as Marcia, I'm sure, will tell you, is a very fiercely competitive world. These are beautiful little girls, and there are thousands of other beautiful little girls out there. To succeed, if nothing else, will hold sex in abeyance. They have to be competitive. They have to learn not only to be pushy, they have to be able to sell. At the moment, they've got contacts. What happens when they start to get 11, 12, 13? What will happen then when they start to get, pimples and the body becomes gangly is you're going to need to save money for a dermatologist and for a psychologist so that you can now straighten out their heads, because these kids are now young ladies at age 10. Bill, what are you going to follow this with at 16?
Well, ask them. Don't ask me. I don't know. I don't even have a kid. I wouldn't mind having cute ones like this, though. You're real nice. Very nice. Now, what do you think about what Dr. Janus said? Were you paying attention?
I kind of didn't understand.
I said, really, what do you really think is going to be happening to you at 16? Do you think you'll have to wait to start dating, to act like an adult? You're probably making as much money or more than your father is. Am I right or wrong at this point?
I'm not sure.
Okay. But just out of curiosity, do you know how much you made last year?
I don't have
Do
the
you?
faintest idea.
Well, I really don't care if I make a lot of money. I think it's more fun to do the commercials and enjoy yourself.
Okay. The kid that made $300,000 for him, I'm sure, is doing it partly. She may enjoy it, but you don't go into this just because, oh, well, it's a fun thing. It's a business. And what we're saying is, what's going to happen? In other words, when you hit 15, 16, what are you going to follow this? What would you like to do when you become a real teenager, when you're old enough to be a real teen?
Doctor, you keep saying...
Wait, no, let the girls answer first, because he was just asking them.
I'm sorry.
If you don't have an answer, you don't have to give one. But if
Well, when you're 15 or 16, you may not change. Oh my God.
don't be afraid. No, don't be
No,
afraid.
I'm
It's
trying
okay.
to think of how I can put this. Your mind doesn't have to change or anything. You don't have to go to bed with somebody or something like that. When you become a real teen, it doesn't mean that you have to go do that. Some teens still do it as fun. You know, they don't want to. Some people do care about money, but some don't. They just want to go out and try to get someplace and be known, but they're not doing it for money either.
Would you agree, though, that the average teen doesn't come home with $100,000 a year, that really what you're living is a very special life? True, it's exciting and you like it, and you're obviously very successful, but it isn't really the average kid's life that you're leading now. It's a special kind of life, but it's not average.
But not to a certain extent. You can be a child's life right now being in the business. It doesn't matter, really. If you...
You're doing fine. Don't worry.
No, but
She's just as happy to let her do all the talking. So.
if a kid does this business, it doesn't mean that they're not a kid.
Listen, more important, we had a more discussion just a moment ago. I mentioned about Tina Payne of Brooke Shields, and you expressed the fact that you thought it was disgraceful. What were your words about posing nude?
Posing nude at 10, 11, 12 is disgrace. They don't have to do that at such a young age.
So you do have a set of morals in terms of what you will or won't do commercially.
Commercially, I don't think they're going to put any nude things on there. Of course.
And you're not going to do it. That's what-
I'm not going to
You're not
pose
gonna
nude
do
or
it.
anything at all.
Listen, there's one other guest I must introduce. Otherwise, people think that someone's just sitting here watching. His name is Michael Murphy, and he is Public Affairs Coordinator for the Covenant House, which helps adolescents in distress. What's your overall reaction to what we've discussed so far in the program? You see troubled teenagers, troubled teenage women. Do you see a direct link between sexiness and eroticism in young people's commercials and the kind of girls you're dealing with?
Right, Bill, that's the point. I think there was one point that was not mentioned up to this juncture, and I think one of the young people had mentioned it, and that was that the problem is not the kids. I would agree with that. The problem is with the adults. But the aspect that modeling the advertising in the sexually provocative way, and I think if we zero in on that, I've seen some of the other commercials, and they're appropriate for kids 9, 10, 11 years old. But kids who are used in a sexually provocative way, I think create an atmosphere in society at large. The effect on adults, the effect on people who literally in our society today buy young people, promoting a concept that a child is a sex object. A child is sexually provocative. And in New York City, the latest study estimates that there are about 3,600 young teenagers being used as prostitutes. We see thousands of kids come through Covenant House who have been used. Thank God the children here do not come from a broken home situation. That is, as Mr. Swartz said, the basis of the problem, the broken home. But we're all part of a society, and all of us have a responsibility. And advertising either promotes or reflects. I think there's a dual role.
So you're able to say that you feel that there is a link between
Absolutely.
sexually suggestive advertising and many of the problems that some young people unfortunately end up
I
with.
would not say that a child watching a commercial like that is going to
Run
be a
out of
prostitute.
this-
No,
yeah.
absolutely not. But I think that, I think that there is a reflection on a society when adults who do that feel it's all right. It's part of the general culture. Children are used sexually. Why not
Let's
use them
Let's
literally.
hear from Stan.
Again, the response basically going back to Jordache, because I can only talk about Jordache, Bill. I can't talk about...
No, I understand that.
I don't know. I don't watch the rest of the commercials. I watch mine. and our commercials, the ones we have done, if we refer only to ours, I'm not here to defend the industry. I do care, okay? I do care as a human being. But as a businessman, I have no control, no can anything about it. Our commercials, our point of view about Jordache, have never in my eyes, me personally, our company, the Nakash brothers or the owners of the company, ever felt there were the death of innocence.
Or
okay?
exploiting.
Or exploiting the child.
Really.
And that's the concern that's the reason I'm here to talk about it.
I have to take a break for commercial. I believe we will come right back to focus on what we're talking about as soon as we can get through 2 minutes of what I hope are appropriate commercials. Wouldn't that be embarrassing? Sam, Janus, Dr. Janus, you want to respond to a point? I'm going to go back in the audience for a question, so you take it. Go ahead.
Mike made a very important point. He said that it's not just the commercials, but the people in society feel that if children are portraying sexual beings, that it's okay to approach them sexually. So you might be interested in 2 weeks ago, what made headlines was a child in a western state, a 5-year-old girl who had been raped by an adult male. The judge released the man claiming that the kid was so sexy and so provocative, she made the man have sex with her. Many people were upset. There was another man who tried to pull this defense where he lost. The judge actually released the man, saying this 5-year-old was so experienced that the man had no chance against her. That's the kind of absurdity we're reaching.
I want to get some of the kids in the audience with reactions here. Not to that necessarily. Hi, this is Laura from a Wonderama.
Yep.
How you doing?
I'm fine.
What do you think about what we've talked about so far?
I think there's a million commercials on the air, and there's commercials where a guy turns into a king or something. You have to realize that these are commercials. They're not, everyone who watches them, this happens in real life. Everyone wears a pair of jeans, but they're not, if you see these commercials on television, no one's going to run out and say, oh, this is what I have to look like. I have to be like this person. I think most people are well-rounded kids. I don't think everyone's going to, when they see these commercials, they're going to run out and become a...
May I just ask, what's the success of advertising? When Mr. Schwartz tells us they spend millions of dollars, for one reason, it works, right? Advertising is meant to influence people's minds and attitudes. It works. So if it works in the sense of selling something, you're selling an attitude and an image with it. You want to look like that? It's not that I'm saying it works. All of Madison Avenue says it works, and that's what we're saying. We're pushing a particular image. No question, you're not going to say it doesn't work and it's all fun.
It works.
Go ahead.
It works in selling that image. As you can see, everyone looks like that.
No, wait. This audience is not typical. You have all mothers and children who are models. This is not a typical
she
audience.
said everyone. You didn't mean this audience. You meant people buy the product.
People who buy the products, they want to look like the person on television, but I don't think that that's going to change how they feel. I think they're going to want to look like that, but I think that in their mind, I think that they're going to stay the same person that they always were.
Not really. I'm sorry. I would assume that from a child's viewpoint, that makes a lot of sense. And I've been in school psychology for the last 26 years, and I didn't think this long time ago. But as I noticed kids younger and younger dressing, we now have kids 10-year-olds dressing like what 17 used to a number of years ago. What'll happen? Are we going to have 5-year-olds next?
If they dress like that, it doesn't mean that they're going to act like that, though. They can dress however they want, I guess. It's a free country. They can. But I don't...
So you think that they would buy, to summarize what you're saying, Laura, is you think that the commercials sell the products, but not necessarily the behavior in the commercials.
I don't think they do at all. I know they don't, from my friends and everyone I know.
Bill, I think
Go ahead,
the point is not that the kids are going to respond that way. God help us, I hope they don't. But the problem that I really see is the adults, and not all adults. But we do know that there are enough unbalanced people out in society, such as this man out in the West Coast, who literally buys children. And there are people who are 20 blocks, 10 blocks, 5 blocks from here probably, who would do the same thing.
But the question I respond to there is, does all of society have to be sculpted and shaped in order to avoid the perversions of a few in society?
No, I think, well, let me say this, Bill. I think that beauty and sexuality are good. They are the most beautiful God-given gifts we have. But when we use them as objects, in whatever field, we all are connected in some way, I think that we do have a responsibility. I think that we should protect children. As adults, I think we do have a responsibility. And if that's sculpting society, well, I would like to sculpt society to protect children.
In that way. He wanted to respond.
Yeah.
By the way, thanks, Laura. Good luck on Wonderama. Keep it
I
going.
mean,
Go ahead, yes.
we are emphasizing the word model. Not all these children are modeled. They are actresses. Do you know what it means to be an actress or an actor? These kids work hard at their profession. They go to school. They take dancing lessons, singing lessons. They do all the things that make their profession
Well, I don't think we would disagree with that, but the problem with the group that we have here is not to stray off the subject. What we're really not talking about on today's show, the pitfalls of being a model. I think we're talking more about the sociological impact of certain kinds of eroticism or alleged eroticism among children in commercials.
And the
We have to
jeans
stick to that
commercials
subject.
is it, quote, right?
What?
Jeans commercials, quote,
Well,
are the
jeans
thing.
commercials have been an example of rather, there have been some controversial jeans commercials that feature children, yes.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about. Not just about jeans commercials, we're talking about the makeup. Here's back for third point. Let's go ahead.
She's embarrassed to ask the question, but
Well,
she's very interested.
I'm a pro at this. I'll get it. Come here for a second. I want to get the kids out. Come on, don't be embarrassed. Really. Let's come over here. Now, there's no reason to be embarrassed. Just tell me what the question is. Just look me in the eyes and tell me, or ask whoever you want to ask. But there's no reason to be embarrassed.
Okay. This is to the models.
Right.
I would like to know, when they go to school, whatever, what kind of kids like to hang out? Like, would they only hang out with the best-looking kids, or would they hang out with anyone?
Well, that's off the subject, but interesting. Okay, Pinky.
Well, we don't hang out by what they wear or how they look. We hang out by who's nice, how they are to you. Like, you're not going to hang out just because somebody's elegant and looks gorgeous, but you're going to hang out with somebody or play with, or at lunch, with somebody who will be nice to you and you're nice to them. It's not how they dress.
Yes, it's true. If you waited to hang out with elegant 11-year-olds, you'd have a long wait. There's not that many elegant 11-year-olds around. Good answer, good question. We'll be back to continue the subject in 2 minutes.